As a single mother, I had to get practical about coping with the rising costs. And here are some of the things that worked for me. First, I downsized.
Everyone, my name is Manraj and I'm with Money Mentors.
Hi there, I'm Sandra Fry. I'm a financial counselor with Money Mentors.
I'm Mary Grace, and I'm a digital learning specialist with Money Mentors.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sheena Drummond. I'm a financial educator with Money Mentors.
My name is Crystal, and I'm a financial counselor with Money Mentors.
And I would like to welcome everyone to the Humans of Money Mentors podcast, where we talk about all things personal finance, the good, the bad, the pretty, and the ugly. Now, today we're talking about the cost of living in Alberta. More than 1 million Canadians are trying to make ends meet while living on minimum wage. Alberta's minimum wage is at $15 an hour. Now, according to an H&R Block survey, 70% of working Canadians say that their income does not reflect today's high cost of living. And Sandra will be sharing more about cost of living increases.
Overall, we're seeing the cost of living increasing year over year. Stats Canada showed that grocery prices rose 4.4%. Another component to add to the stress is what they're calling shrinkflation, which is the cost of items is increasing and the amount of product you're actually getting is getting smaller. With current world events, we are seeing Canadians feel frustrated towards increasing fuel costs as well. And as we go over these statistics, things can feel very bleak and we can find ourselves in a negative spiral. Instead, we should try to focus on what we do have in our control. Now more than ever, it's time to reach out for help and resources if you're struggling.
Hearing all of this, it really highlights how widespread this pressure is across the nation. And it can be very overwhelming to think about, especially when stats stop being only numbers and us Canadians really feel it in our day-to-day lives and have been for years now. Over the last few decades, home prices in Canada have risen significantly faster than wages. Some estimates suggest they've grown nearly 7 times faster since the early 80s. And today, money is the top source of stress for Canadians, with nearly half saying that they've lost sleep due to financial stress. This affects working Canadians across all income levels and age groups. And the stress shows up in everyday life with rent, mortgages, groceries, going out, debt loads, and saving. And I think for a lot of people, including myself, it's not about one big financial decision that creates that pressure, but the accumulation of all of these smaller ones, and it can feel very heavy over time. Canceling extra subscriptions, changing your phone plan, cutting back on certain variable and discretionary expenses are small steps that can accumulate. There is always something to be done, no matter how small it may seem.
Wow, it's just heavy listening to all of that and knowing that we're just trying to cope with the rising and increasing cost. As a single mother, I had to get practical about coping with the rising costs. And here are some of the things that worked for me. First, I downsized. And I was able to free up a lot more cash within my budget based on that decision. Very, very proud of that decision. Secondly, I get serious about my budgeting. So yes, I had a little shell of a budget before and it worked, but there are a number of little things that I was missing out, like small expenses that I wasn't really accounting for that really made a difference. So now that my budget is a lot more detailed, I have provisions for every little expense and everything that is important to our living, and it made a significant difference. Third, I cut back on unnecessary variable expenses. So being able to look at a more detailed budget, I was able to see where I was overspending and the things I was spending on, which was not important. Little things like choosing to purchase a movie on Amazon for $6 versus going to the movie theater, right? And buying some popcorn and popping it at home made significant difference, all right? And finally, I started grocery shopping a lot more smarter. So planning meals, looking for sales, and reducing waste. It's not always easy, but small changes they do make a difference.
Yeah, so I think it's important to kind of self-reflect and just take a step back and know when to reach out to a credit counselor. So there's a couple of things that you can explore on your own time. We just have, I guess, 4 examples of when you would want to reach out to a credit counselor. So number 1 is you have missed a minimum monthly payment. Number 2, you're living paycheck to paycheck. So funds feel like they don't go as far as they used to. Number 3, you're facing a major life change, such as a decrease in income, transitioning from a dual income household to single, going on maternity leave, or switching to income support. Number 4, you feel stressed or anxious about money.
Wow, thank you everyone for this discussion. I think that it's on top of everybody's mind right now when we're thinking about the cost of living. And I really appreciate, Sheena, just the tips that you did share. They're very real, and at times it can be very overwhelming. And as well as everything that you said, Crystal, it can be really scary to reach out to a credit counselor, but it's also about reminding ourselves that we don't have to face it alone. So thank you so much for all of the information as well, Mary Grace and Sandra. It's the times we're living in right now. So all we can do is try to prepare ourselves with information and different tips as well. So this brings us to the end of the session. If you enjoyed this recording, please follow along as we'll have more Humans of Money Mentors discussions in the future. And again, as Crystal had even mentioned, please reach out to a credit counselor if you are facing financial challenges. Give us a call. We're here to help. And I hope everybody has a great day.